We all do it, whether we realize it or not. We speak from fear. Sometimes it's obvious. Your voice trembles, your stomach knots, your mouth says yes, while your whole body screams, run. Other times, fear wears a disguise. It comes dressed as logic, certainty, even as so-called strategy. You'd be amazed how many arguments, plans, and even grand visions are really just fear, cleverly rebranded as conviction. The day before, I was at the office of Peter, one of my first real bosses. Picture it. I was barely 18. He was not even 25. But he'd already built one of the most successful computer companies in the Netherlands. An original, an outlier, a guy who combines the brain of a mathematician with the restlessness of an artist. We stayed in touch all these years. Now, decades later, we find ourselves circling a wild idea, founding a political party. You know, just your average midlife project. Elections are 3 months away. 3? That's not time to build a party. That's barely time to build a garden shed. But we were both drawn in by the same frustration. Watching a political landscape full of empty rhetoric and broken promises. We'd met 3 times already, trading positions, circling the real disagreements, but not quite touching them. The hardest part isn't starting a party. The hardest part is actually agreeing on what you stand for. Then, 2 days ago, Peter calls me up. Can you be free in 2 weeks? He wants to hold a press conference. No joke. My head fills with static. We have no party platform, no manifesto, not even a mission statement. I picture a room full of journalists, pens poised, waiting for the big reveal, and us standing there with... What, exactly? Air and good intentions? I nearly say. Are you out of your mind? But what I actually feel isn't irritation. It's fear. Plain, simple fear. Fear of looking foolish. Fear of being unprepared. Fear of making a mess that's too public to clean up. The funny thing is, my mind tries to dress that fear up as common sense. This is not how you do things. This is unrealistic. Be careful. But who says you can't build a manifesto in 2 weeks? Who says you can't shake up a political system in a single season? Where do these rules even come from? Of course, as soon as I push past that first reaction, another fear pops up. What if we're not just ambitious, but actually naive? What if we end up on the evening news as the punchline? I take a breath and say, Peter, you're overwhelming me, but let's do it. Yes is our answer. Let's see how far we get. I hang up, half exhilarated, half panicking. What have I just agreed to? That little voice of doubt is still there, but I decide not to give it the steering wheel. The next meeting, we're talking strategy, when Peter says we need to position the party conservatively. He's thought it through. I push back. People are tired of the old politics. If we're going to do this, let's be bold. And then I do something that doesn't come naturally. I say, I'm actually afraid. If we go too conservative, we'll disappear. If we don't stand out, all these radical ideas will go unheard. I even ask him, are you maybe afraid we'll get ignored if we go too radical? He shakes his head. He's certain. He's really thought it through. But here's the rub. Certainty is often just fear in a better suit. The more someone insists, the more likely it is that they're arguing with their own worry and not with you. I watched as Peter, instead of saying what scared him, started stacking up reasons, one after another, about why his approach was strategically sound. None of those arguments actually got to the heart of it, and I recognize myself in that, because I've done it 1,000 times. We all have. When you can't name your fear, you end up defending it, dressing it up as expertise, logic, or common sense. So the meeting stalls. We're both talking, but not listening. I can sense my own discomfort, wanting to retreat into clever arguments. But this time, I try something different. I put the fear out in the open. If we go too radical, the media might ignore us. If we're too bold, we might get compared to extremists. That's not weakness, that's honesty. And suddenly there's something real on the table. Those are actual risks we can work with. Only when you speak from fear, instead of hiding behind conviction, do you get to real solutions. You start thinking together, not fighting for your side. Still, it doesn't mean every conversation will magically end in a breakthrough. Peter isn't budging. He's too locked in his own logic to admit what's really at stake for him. And the truth is, there's more going on than just this disagreement. Other mismatches, other friction. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't just speaking your fear, but knowing when a partnership won't work. So before I left, I suggested we do something different. Why not make a podcast series together? We could put our differences on the table, debate them in public, and maybe even help others see both sides of every big idea. Who knows, that might turn out to be more powerful than any manifesto. I left with a sense of relief. Sometimes no is the best answer, especially when you know you're not ready to fight the wrong battles. Because, let's be honest, nothing gets solved by pretending you're not scared. Every solution starts with admitting what's really at stake. So here's the thing. It's easy to miss when fear is doing the talking, especially when it's dressed up as conviction. In politics, business, or even at the kitchen table, most of us would rather come across as decisive than vulnerable. There's this unwritten law that says, if you show your doubts, you're weak. If you waver, you'll lose. So we get good at covering it up. We memorize arguments, gather evidence, and repeat whatever sounds most confident. If anyone challenges us, we double down. I'm sure of it. I know what I'm doing. I've thought it through. And in that act, fear quietly moves from the back seat to the driver's seat. Only now it's wearing a suit and carrying a whiteboard. Here's how you can tell. Conviction invites, fear defends. True conviction has an open energy. It says, come and challenge me. Maybe I'll learn something. Fear, on the other hand, is brittle. It says, don't question me. Don't shake the boat. I need to be right or I'll fall apart. When you're speaking from real belief, you're willing to admit what you don't know, what you're still figuring out. When you're speaking from fear, you argue yourself into a corner and call it home. Think about the last heated debate you had, maybe with a colleague, a partner, a parent. If you look back, were you really so certain? Or was there a whisper of doubt, a small kernel of what if I'm wrong? A fear that someone might see through your armor. Most people would rather lose a friend than admit, actually, I'm not sure. It feels safer to be the expert, even if deep down you're trembling. That's why so many meetings, partnerships, even friendships get stuck. It's not the topic, it's the subtext. Two people, both pretending to be sure, both desperately protecting themselves from embarrassment, rejection, or change. That's how you get gridlock, not progress. But here's the twist. Every time I've dared to name the fear, the whole mood shifts. The room exhales. Someone, maybe even the person you least expect, says, you know, I was afraid of the same thing. Suddenly, you're not adversaries anymore, but co-conspirators. You can talk about real risks, not just strategies. You start solving, not selling. And it's not just in politics. I've seen it with clients, teams, and even at the dinner table. I once worked with a boardroom where everyone was pushing their data-driven point of view. But the truth was, the CEO was terrified the company was falling behind, and nobody dared to say it out loud. Once someone finally did, the conversation changed from who's right to how do we fix this together? It didn't feel safe at first, but it worked. The irony is, when you drop the act and admit what's really going on, I'm afraid we'll fail. I'm afraid to look stupid. I'm afraid of being left out. You actually get stronger, not weaker. You get to address what matters. The biggest breakthroughs in my own life didn't come from sounding sure of myself, but from moments where I said, honestly, I don't know, but I want to find out. That's when people lean in. That's when the opposition becomes your partner. But don't mistake this for a magic trick. Some people, like Peter, will cling to certainty no matter what. That's okay. You can't force someone to show their cards if they're not ready. Sometimes all you can do is model the vulnerability yourself and see what happens. If it works, you build a bridge. If not, you move on, with your integrity intact and your self-respect a little deeper. And maybe, just maybe, the best kind of leadership, whether it's in politics, business, or your own living room, starts with this question. What's the fear I'm not saying out loud? If you can ask it, if you can answer it, you're already doing something radical. You're breaking the cycle. You're making it possible to have real conversations. Conversations that change outcomes, not just opinions. So next time you find yourself in the middle of a heated debate or a slow burn disagreement, pause. Instead of reaching for your convincing argument, ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of here? If you're feeling really brave, say it out loud. Watch what happens. Even if nothing changes right away, you'll feel lighter, freer, more yourself. Because here's the quiet truth. Most of the time, it's not the conflict that wears us out. It's the pretending. It's the weight of certainty, when all you want is permission to admit you're scared. And the day you give yourself that permission, you'll find you're not alone. Most of us are just waiting for someone to go first. That's how real solutions begin. Not with winning an argument, but with having the courage to show what's actually at stake.